I guess I'm just wondering, like, for the person that isn't there, what made you say, wait, I gotta work on me. Wait, I gotta show up for me. Wait, I'm not doing something right. The last thing you want to be is guilty of something.
Yes, the victim always.
You want to call up all your friends, be like, hey, let me tell you, so-and-so did this, and I ain't talking to her no more. What are some things that was aha moments for you to say, I gotta work on me. I want to show up better for me because it's showing up in my choices.
One thing that came to mind was my mother. I stayed getting into it with people. And my mother would say, Teshia, it can't be the whole world.
Ooh.
225 moments where his glory shines. Yeah.
Welcome to 225 Moments with me, Monique Nicole. This is a space, friend, of empowerment and encouragement inspired from Joel 2:25. Well, God promises to restore years that the locust has eaten. In each episode, we're going to talk about stories of God's restoration power, restoring us from loss to abundance. And on this episode, we're going to talk about friendships in a different way. When are friendships salvageable? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. She might not want to be saved. And so we need to talk about that because this is something that is overlooked. And I have the perfect guest on the show today to talk about that with my friend Teshia Monet. Teshia Monet, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and welcome, friend.
Well, I'm Teshia Monet, and I am so excited to be here. Let me just say, when I say I am the most proud of you, this is so amazing, and I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, friend. Thank you for believing in me and being all the encouragement that I need behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. So listen, I thought you would be the perfect guest to come on today because we often have these dialogues about friendships and the way people are wired. We're constantly talking about different things, motives, the way they handle things. Our friendship, right?
Yes.
Like all the things, right? And so I kind of want to start in a place that when do you feel like a friendship is salvageable? Like what's that moment to say, you know what, you should work at that or cut it out? But let's start at the salvageable point.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think and let me say this, I feel like a lot of Black women struggle with that.
Okay.
And I feel like relationships, especially friendships, are always salvageable when two people are willing to work together. Always.
Okay.
Like, it's never a time I feel it can't be. I think the challenge is the ghosting part. We don't want to face the friend. It's easier just to walk away when we're mad.
Yeah.
And we don't want to confront all of those things. I mean, I've been there. I've ghosted a friend before.
Yeah.
I didn't have the courage enough to say what I wanted to say. But I also think that comes through healing.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like it's always a way.
So when you said you ghosted a friend before, tell us a little bit about that. Like,
yes.
Like what led up to this? I'm done with you. We not talking. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not just talking to them anymore. What was that moment?
I think the moment is me not knowing how to be a friend. And I think me not knowing how to be a friend came from me not being a friend to myself first.
That's good.
And so when things would come up, because I didn't have healing.
Mm-hmm.
So in those spaces, I just walked away from it. I didn't want to face it. I didn't have the courage to say what I needed to say. So the best thing for me to do was just to walk away without even telling that person what happened. And also that space of me feeling like, I don't owe her no explanation.
Right.
She shouldn't have done what she did. That kind of thing. It's because I didn't have the courage. And so as I started to work on myself and started to work on things that I knew that how I want to be a friend, how do I want to show up? I got to show up for that for myself first. So as I started to work on those things, then I became better at being a friend. And I did go back to that friendship.
Okay.
And I wasn't expecting anything, but I had to live in my truth and I had to be honest.
That's good. So I think the deep pieces that you talked about, which I think you're the advanced friend that is already there and know all the questions. I guess I'm just wondering, like, for the person that isn't there? Like, what made you say, wait, I got to work on me. Wait, I got to show up for me. Wait, I'm not doing something right. Because oftentimes when you walk away and ghost people, the last thing you want to be is guilty of something.
Yes. The victim always.
Right. You want to call up all your friends and be like, hey, let me tell you.
Yes.
So-and-so did this and I ain't talking to her no more.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like what was that moment like? Or since you're so advanced, because I say you're my advanced friend, what are some things that was aha moments for you before you got to that moment to say, I got to work on me and I want to show up better for me because it's showing up in my choices?
One thing that came to mind was my mother.
Okay.
And my mother, I stayed getting into it with people. And my mother would say, Teshia, it can't be the whole world.
Oh.
But when she would say that, I couldn't see myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it sure is in this time because I didn't do anything, But then when I kind of like sat on that, when I was ready to grow, because you have to be ready for growth.
Yeah.
When I was ready to grow, I revisited that. And I said, it can't always be everybody. It can't always be this person said this to me and it's always them. What role have I played in these relationships? How have I not shown up the way that I know that I should? Because I wasn't showing up for myself. So how could I show up fully for somebody else?
So was it a lot of pain? Because, like, even when you have those moments like that, like, I just know for me, my mother told me a lot of things. And it wasn't until the pain hit where you're wait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, now I get to see she's saying, it's not everybody. It's got to be me. Like, can you think about any moment that had a pivotal turn for you to say, you know what? It's me.
Yeah, I start losing friends.
Where's everybody?
Like literally, where's everybody? Why didn't they show up for me?
Yeah.
And then I think it was almost like an out-of-body experience one time.
Okay.
It was almost like I was in my feelings. And some friends and I had gone out and they wanted to smoke. And, I wasn't a smoker. And so I made this big deal about it, and I just had this nasty attitude. And it was with her other friends. And
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I was a Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer. You like,
yeah.
The preacher.
But also, but what happened that night was, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. It was like, I started seeing myself and how I was reacting to these people and how their attitudes were and how they changed and how I brought the whole environment down. And I went home that night and I cried.
Wow. And you didn't even smoke.
No, I didn't even smoke.
You didn't even
smoke. But I cried because it was like God was showing me that I'm the problem in some of these situations. My attitude, the expectations I had of others, and then I wasn't giving the same things back to them.
Right.
And I know it seems, that was just the catalyst that kind of put me into a space to really think about who I was and how I was showing up and how people were receiving me. And I brought down the whole night. I just kept complaining about it. I had an attitude. And I was like, anyway, I got home and I really reflected because I cried about it.
Right. And
then I wanted to say, I'm changing. I was like, I'm going to change no matter how difficult it is, no matter how difficult of a conversation I have to have with other friends. I'm going to have those conversations because I need for people to know, I need for people to tell me what they see. And so the difficult conversation wasn't me having it with them. It was me asking them, how do they see me showing up in their life? And what kind of friend have I been? What kind of friend have I been? It's like a friend check. Yeah. I really do recommend that.
Did any of those friends stay?
No. But however...
all of them gone. You gone. Okay.
However, the one friend that we were friends for a very long time, that's the one I reached back out to. Okay. And she moved on. And I accepted that. Yeah. And when I reached out to her and I told her, I said, this is not to reel you back in. Yeah. I don't feel like I was the best person or friend to her. But I wanted you to know my truth. and where I was and where I am now. And I just didn't want the friendship just to be a walk away.
Yeah.
Like, a ghosting again. And that's what really started me to really truly start walking in my truth and started to work on wanting to be healed so I could be the person that showed up for a friend.
See, that's what I was looking for. Because I think it's those pivotal moments where you're just kind of like, the pain it hurts too much.
Yes.
Right? And that you're thinking, I want to blame, but you can't blame. You can only probably like sit in that moment, like that moment where you said, oh, I cried. You sat in it.
Yes.
And when you sat in that moment, you're like, you know what? I got to fix this.
Yes.
So I will also say everybody won't come back to those friendships and say, I want to face myself and tell you who I was then. And this is not a moment for us to reconcile. It's just a moment for me to walk in my truth. Some people won't even dare do that. Like the fact that would put them in a light that they don't want to ever be seen, or their pride or ego. I think that takes a special kind of healing. Like that's when you know that you're really walking in your truth, regardless of what people think or say, right? And I reflect that to friendships that I've even had. Like I just remembered, being in places where, yes, you thought about the friendship, you've healed, you understand it now. Because see, a lot of times you see things when you're out of it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, and even taking it back to, we've had some times.
Yes, we have.
Listen. We've had some times, y'all.
Yes.
But I would say we haven't had any in about 15 years.
Yeah,
so
it's been a long time.
Streak.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
But I want to take it back to the moment that I remember when you were that bigger person with me. You reached out to me. I think, listen, I'll never forget it because it was in December and the year was about to close. And I remember you reached out and it was something like, the text went something like, hey, when you have a moment, I want to talk. You led what you want to talk, but then you ended it with this doesn't have to be reconcilable. Like you said, like, hey, I'm not expecting anything from you. And so I heard you out, to be honest, right? And I've had people try to come back and circle friendships with me before, but I just believe in that moment, your transparency just registered to me. Like, it didn't mean that we just gonna flop back and be besties tomorrow, but it was to say, listen, I saw what went wrong and this is where I played the part. And then it opened up dialogue for me to discuss what my experience was and how I played the part. And we talked it out. And I would tell you, after we talked it out, I don't think we ever fell out since.
No, we haven't. And that's the thing that I wanted to say about the friend. And even with our disconnected times, it was the vulnerability that you have to walk in. Right? And I was not ever expecting anything. It wasn't a sob story or anything. It's kind of almost like when you go through, Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah. Where you have to reach out, ask for forgiveness, and then you really have to state your truth. Yeah. And the truth was, I suffered from depression. So a lot of things that I was going through, I would hide myself. I didn't want to be around people. And so it would seem like I was pulling away, but really I was hurting. Yeah. And so for me, I had to reach out to her to be like, hey, these are some times that I really was going through. Yeah. And I don't want you to think that it was you. Yeah, there were some things I was hurt. Yeah. Of course, by what my friend did. However, the blame was on me. A lot of things that I wasn't willing to be vulnerable with. Yeah. And so now I have learned to walk in vulnerability. Vulnerability is a gift that you can give to someone. You can't be vulnerable with everyone. No. But I felt that it was important because I knew she was hurt. Yeah. I knew she was hurt. Yeah. Even though she'll never admit it, there were some things that she said, and I just didn't want to close off life. Yeah. And she not ever know, why I kind of was the way I was. So. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want to take it back to when we reconnect. This was 15 plus years ago. But I just remember at that moment, my spirit, my heartstrings heard you. You know what I mean? Like, people love to talk and they be doing all of this, but sometimes behind that is other motives. Yeah. And it just felt very, very much like, you know what?
We had to talk. She was honest. I felt her. She felt me.
Yes.
And listen, we can continue on. And I think from there, what we did was we created new memories to replace the bad ones. Right. And it just keeps going. So I kind of feel like the salvageable piece is the transparency.
True.
Right. Is when you say to yourself, I'm being honest. This was my fault in the situation. I have healed. I see things differently because I'm out of it. Because when you're in it and your emotions is high, listen, everybody heads off.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it might be your fault too.
Exactly.
You know, and then I look at that because I recall just, you know, looking at what a success that we had. Like, I can't say that about nobody else, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I've had people that try to come reconcile, but they have other motives.
True.
Or they're still not completely healed, where the things that caused them to change on me and be different and envious and jealousy and strife, it was never healed. So it came up again.
And I think too, not even that you're fully healed. I think healing is a journey. I don't think that it ever stops.
That's true.
But the fact that you're willing to, the fact that you're vulnerable, the fact that you're willing to say, these are the challenges I had. And I'm not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
This is what I did in the part.
Yeah.
If you want to admit to where you were, that's fine. But I'm not looking for that. And that's how you know that you're on a true journey of reconciliation, if need be. And not only reconciliation with your friend, but reconciliation with yourself.
That's good.
So, I mean, I just want it to be in a place where I can live my authentic life. And I felt like me having all of these other challenges with my friendships and relationships that I wasn't being honest with myself and how I wanted to show up into the world. And a lot of people use a buzzword, I feel like healing. Like, oh, you need to be healed.
Yeah, that's true.
But healing doesn't feel good.
No.
Healing is facing yourself.
It is.
From the innermost parts that only you and God know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have to face that, sometimes it's so disheartening sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be a lonely place. But I was just not willing to give up on myself.
That's good.
And I also wanted to make sure that I'm being the friend that I know I could be from a healed place.
That's good. And so let's pivot and talk about when friendships are not salvageable. Because some people you just can't save.
Yeah.
Like, you can put all the prayer oil on them. You can pray for them. You can take them to the altar. They can tarry. That's what we say.
Back in the day.
You get down there and you tarry till you feel God. You know, they can feel them all they want. But until that is a decision for them, or until this is truly their path on their journey.
Right.
It's not salvageable.
Yeah.
You know, I've witnessed that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I would tell you that. You know, but I would say with each and every one of those situations, it has been a learning experience, right? Because I go back and look at it and say, where was I in this moment?
Yeah.
Right? Because you tell me all the time, friend, you got to face it.
But Friday,
I mean, like, I don't want to call her. She's not my friend anymore. I'm over it.
Right,
you know.
Right.
But when you get to that point, and so I got a laundry list when it comes to that, because I know that story far too well.
Right.
And I think for me, again, when you get out of the experience, you see things a little differently. Your heartstrings are connected to it. So you're thinking, no, this person really didn't mean this the whole time. But the whole time they did, right? They were showing you who they were, but you were seeing something different. Your focus was off, right? You were looking at it from a perspective that they're your friend. Or, this is a good one, longevity. You've been friends with someone 30 years, 20 years. We've been in elementary, high school, all the things.
Yes.
And then now that's all you got, right? It becomes a trophy or a diploma that you use as a blanket for who a person really is to you.
Yeah.
Versus the content of who they really are, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to just kind of talk on that. Tell me what you think about when friendships are not salvageable.
Well, here's the thing. So there's two things.
Okay.
So the first thing is a friendship, just because we are not a match anymore doesn't mean that it has to end in a way where we are not connected, right? Where we feel like, oh, well, I'm just not her friend or whatever, something bad had to happen. Nothing bad had to happen. Sometimes people just grow in different directions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have people in your life. I know you hear this, people hear this all the time.
Yeah.
Some people are at your time for different seasons in different ways. And I feel like as a mature adult, that you recognize those things and it's okay to let those things go.
Yeah.
But when you have toxic relationships, where you're looking at a person not for who they are, but who you think they should be, right?
Yes.
And so all this time we have those kind of glasses on because they're our friends and we have these blind spots.
Yeah.
But the whole time they were always that way.
Yes.
The whole time.
That is so true, though.
The whole time.
So true.
Right? Because we're looking at the potential that we feel that this person has, right?
Yeah.
And really the whole time they were shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just were.
Yeah.
And so I think looking at a person for who they are, who they truly are.
Yeah.
And like my angel always says, when a person shows you who they are, believe them.
But how long do you think you really have to walk that out, though? Because sometimes people put on good... Listen, I've had some star performances. I'm talking about they need to be at the Fox.
They need to be on Tyler Perry's play or something.
Mama, why did I go wrong? Like, these crazy situations where they really put on for the city. And I mean, like, put on.
Like Jeezy. Well, listen, here's the thing. When you are not in a place that you need to be, it's hard for you to see other things that are in the way. Your discernment is off, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. For now, like, I'm very protective of my space and my energy because I believe that, energy needs to always be protected, right? But back in the days when I just was letting anybody in my life, just the door wide open.
Butterfly,
just all over. I had the most problems.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah.
One day I put on Facebook and I said, I mean to live a life of peace. My life was in shambles. It was not at peace. But I kept saying, I mean to live a life of peace.
Yeah.
So everything that did not help that or did not connect with that, I disconnected from it. And now I live a life of peace. My friendships are peaceful. My life is peaceful. I don't have all of the drama and all of the friendship issues I used to have.
Yeah.
One, I worked on myself.
Yeah.
And two, I made that proclamation. So, and my discernment is different. So when I have certain people that are trying to attach to me or come into my life.
Oh my God.
It's a different, right? So like I'm watchful.
Listen, wait. That whole attached thing.
Attached.
That's a real thing.
Attached.
When I tell you, I have had that over and over.
Yeah, attached
and over.
To your energy.
Like, people like the energy that you give and they say, boom, I want that.
Yep.
And then you're like, whoa, pipe down.
Yep.
Exactly. Like that, right?
Exactly.
And so the moment that I have been in situations where I say, ooh, slow that honey down, it's so crazy because my spirit felt all along that no, something ain't quite right in the Kool-Aid right here. Like, you are cautious for a reason. Your impulses are coming up for a reason.
Right.
Stick with that, right?
Yep.
And what these people do, turn up a notch. They act and just go all the way up to the max.
Exactly. And the true like vampires, like they suck your energy.
When I tell you, go to the max to the point like this, it goes to the max and they start to put on super cape eras. Like, they're trying to be everything you need and they move fast.
Yep.
And I always say to people, when people running to be your friend and they're moving so fast, like in your life, like, oh, I can help you. Oh, I'll be over there. Oh, what you need? Oh, I got you. And these super Facebook gloaty posts, I love. I've seen them. They send me clothes and shoes. And it's my new best friend. She's impacting my life. And because God has assigned me to impact people, people feel like that's their gateway to get in to do whatever, right? So I'm going to get back to the impact. So to this whole super cape era they put on. So here they are in this super cape era, they're doing all the things. And I always say when people come in and they're running from something like that, they're running from somewhere else. Like this fast pace that they got, this rapid, oh, we're besties overnight. And you know what's so strange? I've had people try to do that, and then they get mad at me for loving people who have been in my life.
Yes.
Because they want that same treatment.
Exactly.
That's really why they're here.
Red flag.
Right.
Red flag.
No, you just need to stay in your lane. Because I'm still getting to know who you are. So for you to say you're putting for you to put demands on me when I'm getting to know who you are.
Right.
I think that is a telltale sign.
And you have to, because you always have to keep your discernment up.
Yeah.
You always have to operate in that spiritual realm. You really do.
Yeah.
Because the devil comes to what? Steal, kill, and destroy.
Absolutely.
And so whatever it is that God is pushing you to work on, and the people that you really need in your life, that because you have an inner circle and you have your outer circle of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we just don't have a circle. We just letting everybody in.
What you call it? A square?
Right. It's not even a square. It's just open fields. Okay.
Right.
And then be wondering why all these spirits are attached to us. All these things are around us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you feel like you're in quicksand, you know, because it's like you're trying to get somewhere, but it's hard to get somewhere because these people are pulling you back.
Yeah.
And so I feel like some of the things that I do when I meet new people, first of all, I'm cautious.
Yeah.
First of all, my discernment is up,
and
I watch them. I observe
how
they are around other people, the things they say, the conversations they have. All those type of things are telltale signs of who should be around you.
And who they are when you're not around.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's the true them. I remember, this has not been that long ago, but I recently had to disconnect from a friendship that we were friends like almost 30 years. That's a long time.
A long time.
Right? But it was who she was when I wasn't around that made the friendship unsalvageable. Because it was her behavior. It was the things like, you need people that know you and know how to show up for you, and that's just it.
Yes.
That is, listen, there is no negotiation. There is no other way around it. This is my friend, and this is how it goes, right? In that moment when I had to give up on the friendship, it was because when I wasn't around, she started to affiliate herself with people that did not like me. And they would talk this crazy trash about me. And then she would try to hide it. Like, she wouldn't tell me, but still talk to me. And then I find out another way. It wasn't a nice situation.
Yeah.
I was more hurt that I had to find out.
Right.
Versus her just being honest.
Yeah.
So I think that when people start to just jump out of alignment of the friendship, the core of the friendship, I think the values of that friendship to that person is not as valuable anymore.
So that's the key. It's not like the whole friendship was a wash. Right? It's just anymore.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't do friendship check-ins.
Oh, I know.
You don't do it.
I know.
Right? So if something changes in a friendship, or if you feel a certain way about something, I feel like it should be like you do your annual checkups. I feel like it should be like an annual checkup for friendships.
Yes.
I feel like it should be a whole thing.
Start that.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a whole thing. It should be like, hey, you want to check in. You have questions and everything, right?
Yes.
And you also want to know, how am I showing up as a friend?
That's true.
Sometimes we think we're showing up a certain way, and we're just not.
Yeah.
But a other person is not willing to say those things, right? Because maybe they don't know how.
Right.
Or whatever the thing may be. So I think that should be a thing. It should be an annual check-in.
Right.
And it could be something simple. Hey, how am I showing up as a friend? What can I do for you? Or what do you need from me that you're not getting?
Yeah. That's good. And then, so the values is one.
Yep.
So when the value of the friendship changes, that's when you know it's not salvageable.
Yeah.
Right? Because that also means that one person could find it still valuable and the other person doesn't. And that is totally, it's not going to work, right?
No, and it's okay to be honest.
It's totally okay to be honest. What other areas can you look at? I would say dishonesty. Right? Like dishonesty with the person, dishonesty with yourself, dishonesty with the scenario that perhaps caused this to be a disconnect would be another thing that I would say where it's not salvageable.
Yeah.
The next thing I would probably say is jealousy and envy.
I was about to say,
We
that is
say
the
that all
number
the
one
time,
thing. Just
right?
jealousy and envy.
Jealousy and envy.
People being... because jealousy, to me, is not a rational emotion. Like, you're not... like, if you're jealous of something, like, you don't have a rational mindset.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just jealous. And you're trying to, either mimic that person or you're envious of what they have because you have a scarcity mindset. You feel like you can't get that.
Right.
So when you have that scarcity mindset, you feel like, oh, I can't be that. I can't get that. And you're just jealous. And everything they do, you're just jealous.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that does show up in a lot of friendships.
I know. And I feel like, why though? Why do you think that is? Because listen, me personally, I feel like the same God I serve is the same God that you serve, and he can save us all. He can give you what he give me.
Right.
You want this, it can happen for you too, right? If you want a new house, it can happen for you. You want a new car, it can happen for you. If you want a new husband, get you a new husband. Right. So what is it?
At all? Okay.
Right. But listen, but what is it that make people just feel like that is the emotion they have to have provoked because they're in lack? There's so many other emotions. I'm so serious. I have conversations with you like this all the time.
I know. Jealousy has been here since the turn of time,
Yeah.
And so when you feel like you can't, some people feel like they just can't.
Yeah.
They have a scarcity, I cannot mindset.
Yeah.
And so they see somebody else doing something, instead of that being a motivation, it's the hindrance for them. Right?
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with social media. People on social media are like flaunting their lives and doing all these things.
Right.
Like you have this gorgeous life. You really do.
But listen.
But it's true.
It's just a true life.
But it's a true life.
I promise you.
And so, but some people, because they're in a space, they're just not where you are yet.
Yeah.
But they don't have that yet mentality.
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet.
Did I tell you about the lady who came to the retreat? This wasn't last year. It was 2023, I want to say, for the manifestation circle, right? And so she came to the retreat, and she wasn't a part of the circle. It was like I opened it up to other people to come to the retreat. And so the lady came, and everybody welcomed her. It was like, welcome, it was all loving and stuff. And so the lady says her welcome message, like in response, and she goes, I'm happy to be here. And she said, I have to be honest, I almost blocked her. And I was like, what? Yes. She said this to the people. Like, she said she was pretty much was going to block me because of the things that I post. And she said, now listen, here's a pivotal moment. She said, then I stopped to ask myself, is it what she posts or is it me? And she realized it was her.
Yeah.
It wasn't the things I was posting that bother her. I'm posting God's glory. It's not me. It's listen.
Yeah, right.
And so when she had that moment of transparency,
that was very brave of her.
That was very brave.
That was very brave.
Listen, when she finished, I said, get her, that everybody, get her. That's how I felt.
That was so brave.
Yeah, I felt like that. But no, we was just joking around. But she was so like open. And she said that she realized there was some things that she needed to work on for herself. And that, it took me back to a social media post that I remember seeing. And the post went like this. If bragging to people that's around you sounds like bragging, that means that your circle around you are not of blessed people. They're not people that used to God's blessings. So many words. I'm paraphrasing there. But the point I'm making is I'm just posting on the goodness of the blessings God has given me. I'm not bragging to upset someone who wants to block me.
Yeah.
And so the perception is different because of the gear of receiving. Her receiving gear was blocked by her.
Yeah.
Versus her finding that to say, oh my God, I'm inspired.
That I live in abundance, that I can live in abundance. Right. Because everything starts and ends with you. When you have issues and challenges, when people have issues and challenges with you, it's never really about you.
Yeah.
It's about them.
Yeah.
It's about them projecting.
Yeah.
And I'm so amazed that she admitted that in front of a lot of people.
She
That's
did.
courage.
That did take a lot of courage.
Because some people don't,
We loved on her after, it was just all
courage,
jokes and fun, but definitely.
But jealousy is that number one thing that does ruin friendship.
What when you're like, you know me, I love supporting and helping. That's my middle name, right?
Yep.
So how is it the people that you've helped and support are the ones that have the envy and jealousy? How is that? Who helped you?
Yeah.
Help me
True.
understand that, friend.
But-
Bust that
but
down.
some- but
You're my doctor.
Listen. Okay, well, how much you paying me?
I got you, friend.
Got me.
I got you.
You know what? Sometimes I'm gonna say this.
Yeah,
You are a giver since I've known you. Like
Yeah.
that's just your ministry.
that is.
But sometimes those are not your assignments.
I know.
I know. So sometimes when God wants to teach a lesson to someone or certain things that they need to do on their own,
Mhm.
but then when you step in, you do the things that maybe you shouldn't have been doing for them,
Yeah,
and then it gets resentful
yeah.
because it's like, here she go telling me something again. Here it is.
But they were receiving it though. It wasn't like
Yeah,
I
they
was-
said that.
Well, they was. I mean, they did it in their lives. Like stuff was happening for them.
Yes.
They
but
made like 3 times more than they ever made.
Yeah.
And they felt hot and all the things, like the hot girl on the block and all of that. So
they just want you to get the
how
credit.
did that turn to I hate her? How? How for real? Like I wouldn't know that.
But sometimes things, even though
Yeah.
you can reap the benefits and the blessings of something, sometimes it's just not your assignment.
Mhm.
I just think that we really have to be focused on what God is telling us to do.
Mm.
I really do believe that.
Yeah.
And some things are just not your assignment.
Yeah.
And even the ones that were your assignment, and sometimes
Yeah.
they just are disobedient. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So if God could be telling them something to do, something they should have done,
Mhm.
or whatever, and then you come along and you help them, and then you keep helping them, your assignment could have just probably ended at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Maybe. But you kept doing it, and they don't know how to do these things on their own. Some of them just don't.
Yeah.
Because some of the people that I've seen that you have connected with
Yeah.
after you exited,
what's this gonna be?
They just-
Some people I connect with.
they
What
just-
happened?
they just went back to to how they were before.
Oh yeah, to that life
You know what I
beforehand.
mean?
I
So
see.
they were
But they
before.
really wasn't changed.
They just weren't.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Yeah.
also too, some people are people pleasers.
Yeah.
Some people just want to please, right? And they see that, oh, well, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that.
Yeah.
And they want to try to keep up, but it's not
Mhm.
authentic.
Yeah.
It's not true to who they are.
That's true.
This is not.
But I don't ever try to change people. So I think
No,
that's key. I
no.
think you allow people to be who they are,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
And then over time, that's gonna wear out. Like
Yeah.
eventually they're gonna turn and be who they are,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with you. And from what I just heard from you, sometimes your assignment is just that.
Yep.
It's just a short assignment. Sometimes it's a long
Yep.
assignment.
Sometimes it's no assignment. You've even been around.
Who is the no assignment? They shouldn't even been here. How did
They
they
shouldn't
get
even
here?
been around.
But how do they stay? That turns into an assignment, right?
People want what you have without doing the work.
Mm.
People don't know what happened in the background
Mm.
of the things you had to go through, the challenges you had to go through.
That's
They just
true.
see the finished product.
That's
And so they want what you have without the work. And when they get into the situation, they see that it's really true work.
Mm.
They don't want to do it.
That's good.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to go back to the healing. I'm always going to go back to the willingness to heal, wanting to heal, and seeing that you need to heal.
Yeah.
You cannot be in relationships and friendships and expect to have results and success without going through doing the work. People don't want to do the work, but they want the results. That's just it.
That's true.
That's just
That's
it.
true.
And that goes for your relationships, your marriages,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. It's always going to start and end with you. It starts with you and it ends with you. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Listen, this was good, friend.
Oh yeah,
I
I had a good time. Yeah.
hope that people really got some good nuggets because I call you all the time and these are the conversations we have. People don't know that, but we do. And we always talk about things and you always say, face yourself. And I always say, okay.
Face yourself. You can't even face
Like,
yourself.
you gotta call her or whatever it is. But no, I appreciate you because I always say, just like I told Shamise, I love my super friends. They keep me sharp. And listen, super friends are the ones you fight for. You fight for super friends, okay? You fight for those friends that keep you sharp, keep you aligned. They want to see you in the best selves. They want you to have the best things. And listen, ain't no jealousy. Why? Why would it be jealousy? Especially when we serve all the
Yep.
same God. So I just feel so honored that you came on to share some nuggets. I get these nuggets all the time, so I'm glad that you was able to share
Oh, I'm
some.
so happy to have been here. But the last thing I just want to say is that when ending on friendships, that wherever you are in life, I feel like the vulnerability needs to happen when you have friends. And I think a lot of us Black women struggle with vulnerability when it comes to our relationships. I struggle with it. I have friends that struggle with it because we're always stereotyped as the strong Black women, right? Always having to be strong for everything and everybody and not having a space to be vulnerable. And I feel like when we have these friendships, that making vulnerability one of the key things that we work on in our friendships. But first, you have to work on being vulnerable with yourself. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and to say the things that you keep inside and you don't want to talk about in order to have a good relationship with your girlfriend, and not always having to be strong as Black women in these friendships, and not always willing to walk away so easily. And giving grace to where grace needs to be.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Listen, that's why I fight for you, girl. I will fight for you.
Well, I always fight for you. I always fight for you.
Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Teshia, you got to tell them where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at Teshia Monet, IG. Website, Teshia Monet. I am currently working on my book. I hope to be finished by the end of this year. So this is the Taskmaster. So I already know. Can I be friends with her and have unfinished projects? And so I'm also working on my coaching certification. So I hope to be done with that this year too. So if you want some coaching, look me up.
Yes. Listen, you need to coach yourself to see yourself so you can be a better friend.
Amen.
This is your girl.
Amen.
All right. And again, thank you for coming on today. Listen, I hope this segment blessed you. And I would charge you at 225 of the day. Set your alarm. Not just setting your alarm this time, you setting it to see yourself so you can be a better friend. Ask yourself, am I a good friend? What can I do to see me so that I can show up better in the world? Not just for everybody else, but also for myself. So again, thank you so much for sharing this moment with us. This is 225 Moments with MNicole. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch your podcasts. We're there. All right. So we would love to see you next time. And thank you so much for watching.